Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get More Clients. I'm your host, Lynn Whitbeck. Business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to ignite winning sales because most are chasing down clients stuck in a chaotic sales cycle and lacking client retention, conversions, and profits. The mission of this show is to educate, inspire, and motivate women around the world to build a robust sales strategy to get more clients. Because most can't get more clients and haven't a clue why. You will learn to transform thinking to the client's perspective and sales chaos with a robust strategic plan and to harvest the hidden profits. And the most beautiful thing is you will also have the opportunity to connect with me further to see how I can support you beyond today. As she sat at the desk, looking out the front doors, she saw a car squeal into the parking lot and literally just plow into the parking spot. As she's going like, okay, what the heck? She sees the woman get out of the car and sort of with a toss of her head and then a slam of the door. And as she walked towards the front doors, she could see this sort of sour, petulant look on her face. She sort of flung the front doors open and marched up to the front desk. It really felt and first perceived that she was just marching up. I'm here to see Bob. Okay, Bob who? Oh, I'm here to see Bob Hoskins. All right, let me check. Do you have an appointment? Of course I have an appointment. Get him out. I'm ready to go. Okay, let me just buzz Bob's assistant and I will let him know that you're here. If you'd like to go ahead and wait in the reception area, we have seating right over here. We also have bottled water in the refrigerator if you'd like one. No, he'll be ready to go. I'm just going to wait here. Okay. I pick up the phone. I'm going to buzz in. Hello, Bob. Hi, I'm got a guest here for you. Her name is Tanya. And I will let you know that she's here at the front lobby. Click. Well, I got his voicemail. So if you'd like to have a seat, Bob will be out as soon as he's available. Well, all right then. So as I watched her sort of go over and sit down, it was just almost with a huff that she sat down. And she starts flipping through the magazines like with disdain. And I'm going like, wow, who is this person? I mean, goodness gracious. Well, I'm just going to get back to focusing on what I have in front of me to take care of for the day. I've got some calls coming in. Hello, welcome. I'm so glad that you called XYZ Company. How can I serve you today? And going on with that conversation, about 5 minutes goes by. Bob hasn't come back. And all of a sudden, there's Tanya at my desk with her fingers tap, 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 right on the desk. Well, will you buzz Bob again? He obviously did not get the message. He is expecting me. We have an appointment. Okay, of course, ma'am. I'll be happy to go ahead and ring Bob again. So you do that. You get his voicemail again. I'm sorry, but he's tied up and it's going to be a few minutes. He will come out as soon as he's ready for you. Well, I have a very busy schedule today. Is there someone else that you can contact to make sure that they know that I'm here because I have an appointment with Bob? Tap, 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 tap on the counter. Okay, so I will go ahead and do just that. And you're going to I call his assistant, Daniel. Unfortunately, I get his voicemail. Hey, Daniel, Bob has a guest, Tanya, who is waiting. Has an appointment with Bob. It was at 10 a.m. Could you come and let Tanya know or have Bob come out as soon as he's available? I'm sorry, ma'am, but his executive assistant is also tied up and I got their voicemail. I'm sure that either Bob or Daniel will be out as soon as possible. And that's just a tap, 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 tap on the desk. Wow. All right. Well, I guess I'll wait for a few more minutes. And off she goes to sit down into the reception. And I'm going like, wow, okay. Deep breath, recenter myself. I don't think I want to believe that she isn't intending to be so rude and disdainful, but wow. What's the heck? All right. So then I see Bob coming out, and I'm just like this sense of relief. Thank goodness he's come out, because she's been sitting over there for the last 5 minutes, flipping through the magazines and sort of slapping them down on the coffee table. I mean, this woman is just creating not a good atmosphere here. And Bob comes out and she sees Bob, she leaps up, and all of a sudden it's a transformation. She has this big smile on her face. Bob, it's so wonderful to see you. And I'm thinking, what the heck? And she reaches out and shakes Bob's hand, and she's just all swarmy and, oh, it's been such a long time. I am really excited to have our conversation today. And off they go. And I'm thinking, what the heck? What the heck did this woman who came in and was just rude and was petulant and was really disrespectful, and how impatient she was, and how now she's creating this incredibly false transformation for Bob? Wow, my goodness. Deep breath. Just going to continue on with my day, and I'm not going to let her influence how I behave and how I greet all of our wonderful clients and guests and vendors who come into our business. So there's a moral to this story. And it is that people don't remember what you did or said, but they do remember how you made them feel. And this is a real life story. And that woman at the reception desk, she always remembered how that woman made her feel every time she came into the office, because that vendor always treated her poorly, never treated her with respect or kindness. Eventually, she was an executive assistant. So she was already a gatekeeper at the reception desk. Well, she became the gatekeeper in a very important position. And heck, she'd just let that woman wait out in the lobby as long as she felt like it. She didn't need, and she could influence her executive about this woman. Well, I don't know if that's really the best choice for us. We have a lot of different options, and there are some really great people who I've been looking into some of the opportunities that we would have with them. I really think we should meet with some other suppliers. And that is the moral of the story. You need that people, then being rude and being disrespectful gets you nowhere. And the whole point of today's topic is to talk about relationships, because they're the playlist of our life, or the soundtrack to our life. And last week we learned how to leverage affirmations to break free from what's holding back. And today we're going to discover why your worthy intent builds strong, lasting relationships. And by the end of today's show, you will know how to be your authentic self when forging new connections, focus curiosity and interest to build a bridge, and demonstrate your worthy intent to rapidly create rapport. So, we can obviously pick that whole story apart, but that is a real life story. And that goes on all the time, that people think that somehow they're better than other people. They're better than the receptionist. They're better than the janitor. They're better than the technician who's working on the machine with greasy hands. Well, I got news for you. Nah, you're not, and everyone in that organization has an important purpose. And the goal that all of us should have is to treat everyone with dignity, compassion, and respect. And that means that we come forth with worthy intent. We have a genuine desire and curiosity about the other person, to get to know them, who they are, what their interests are, what makes them tick, to find common ground, things that either that they're interested in, that it's like, wow, I'd love to learn more about that, or that, oh my gosh, we have a shared interest, or just, wow, that is so cool. I know nothing about that, but tell me more because I would love to learn. And that worthy intent also transfers to how you work with your clients. When you come with worthy intent that you truly desire to help and serve them, that presents itself in a completely different way. Clients are smart, they're smart people. They know, they figure it out when you're being swarmy and you're being manipulative, and that you're just in it for what's in it for you. Okay. They may not figure it out right away, but they do figure it out. And that's why you lose the account. That's why there's the client churn or the supplier churn. It's because they've already figured out you're just not good people. And people want to work with those that they like, know, and trust. They want to have lasting relationships. They want to have that go-to person that when their desk is on fire with a project, that they know who they can pick up the phone and call and will help them take care of it. And you do that and you build those relationships with worthy intent. And I sort of talked about this, about relationships being the soundtrack to your life, because it's more than just about sales and your client relationships. It's your relationships with the other people in that company, the receptionist, the delivery driver, the people in the mailroom, whomever you interact with, your relationships with the people at your office and your facility and your production, your own supplier relationships who are going to help you get the materials that you need to produce an emergency project so it can get done on time, right? Your relationships with your friends and your family, your peers, your coworkers, your competitors. All of those really build this lifeblood for all of us. And relationships matter. They matter to us, and they matter to how we live our lives and how supported we feel, and how we're able to pull in those relationships when things go sideways or we go through rough patches. Relationships are about listening more than you talk, so that when it's your turn, then those people are there to listen so that you can talk, right? And when you're looking at sales specifically, that's a golden rule. You need to listen 80% of the time. Ask open-ended questions to learn more and to dive into what's going on. And when you have a question that you'd like to know more, say, tell me more, help me understand. What does that mean? And really prompt them to go in deeper. When you listen, clients will tell you everything you need to know. All right. And that's a key part of coming also with worthy intent, because you're figuring out, can you truly help and serve them? Are you a good fit? Your product or service, is it going to be right? Are they the right client for you? Are they going to be the right fit for your organization? Because once again, if you're not a fit for them, the relationship isn't, at some point, it's going to break down. And they're also either going to figure out that you weren't a fit and you didn't tell them, which creates a bitter seed, or the opposite, you're going to put so much time and energy into trying to support a client who's not a good fit that you're not able to be spending time nurturing and developing other relationships that are a good fit. So here's another analogy, and I want you to think about this because it's very similar. If you're dating someone just because, heck, he's a nice guy and we have some things in common, but there's no real spark. Well, sure, you're getting to go out. Maybe you go out and do a few fun things, but there's no spark. There's no long-term, there's just that zing in that relationship. Well, you should be instead meeting other people. There's so many ways to do that these days so that you can create that lasting thing, that partnership that's going to last a lifetime. And to do that, you need to be meeting other people, right? And so I thought this was a good analogy because it sort of helps you see how it works with clients. Now, it does not mean that there are some clients that we can serve and do a really great job for, and there's not a thing. I mean, it's a business relationship. But you can see where I'm going with this, because there are some times where a client relationship is such that it's so difficult, it occupies that 80% of your time for 20% of your business, and you need to flip that around. And it's important for you to know the questions that you need to be asking so that you can determine if they're a good fit. And so part of that is in their values. If for this company, it was a core value that they treated everyone, my core story that I provided at the beginning, that they treated everyone with compassion, dignity, respect. I mean, the owners of the companies sat down and had lunch in the lunchroom with their employees at least twice a week, and they would sit with different groups and they'd just sit down and join them and have a conversation, get to know, make sure they, would follow up. Hey, Bob, how your kids doing in their karate? How they advance to the next belt, having those conversations, learning what's like, is there anything going on that, I should be aware of that's happening, on the production floor, having that open door policy. And so they wanted to extend that to their suppliers as well. They didn't want to work with people who treated their team members with being rude and disdainful. I mean, screeching into their parking lot, showing a lack of respect in the way they entered the building, or they flopped through and slammed things around. That wasn't who they wanted to be associated with, because that wasn't a part of their core values and belief as an organization, because they had a culture and an environment that created this really beautiful, supportive, transparent relationship with their employees. And that is the core of that worthy intent. Because when you do that, not only does it help you with your clients, but it helps you in all of your relationships, and it helps you internally. If you're running your own business and you're a small business owner, how you can treat your team members to find out what's going on. That's why they have that TV show, that the boss works on the job, to learn about the hardships or what's going on the job, that undercover boss, because so many things are revealed that they've become separated from. So it's important that they learn things that they can do to have a better work environment, a better culture. And it's the same thing when we're working with our clients. And that's what Worthy Intent does, because it shows that we're genuinely interested in them. And so how do you do this? So, because I talked about how do you be your authentic self and when you're forging new connections. So the first thing is that I've always tried to, when I show up, this is who I am. I'm a cheerful, happy person, and I'm going to come with that same energy and enthusiasm. And I'll ask, more about them. And one of my great questions that I like to ask, which you can certainly borrow, is if you were anywhere else but here, where would you be? What would you be doing? And who would you be with? So that question invites a whole lot of conversation, because you can find out like an activity or some kind of passion or hobby that they enjoy. You can find out, what sort of activity they would be doing, because they could say, hey, I'd be on Venice Beach and I'd be getting ready to go parasailing. I don't know if they do parasailing at Venice Beach. I'm just making that up. And I would be with my best friend. So all of a sudden now you've got a window into who they are. They're adventurous. adventurous, they're going to go parasailing. At least I think that's adventurous. You will find out that they like to be on the beach. You can tell me more. How often do you go parasailing? Have you gone at different locations? And this creates this whole conversation that they get to talk and share about themselves. It's a great icebreaker. And it's a great way to start those conversations. And then from there, you can just keep building that bridge, because that's that curiosity and interest. And that comes out of worthy intent. And you'll find things that you have in common. There's common ground. And you just asking a few questions. And all of a sudden you discover, my gosh, we both went to the same university, or we both took a class from the same professor, or we both have a common interest in this hobby that we do. And have you tried this technique, or have you used this material? And it sparks this whole conversation. You might discover something that they have, as I mentioned, some kind of passion for, that they're parasailing. And what happens, I can guarantee you within the next week, you're going to see some kind of article or video or a post or something about parasailing. And you can send them the link and say, I saw this. Of course, I saw this after you told me all about your parasailing adventures. And I thought I'd send you the article just so you could take a peek. I thought it would interest you. And that, once again, is showing that you remembered their interests, that you were invested in them as a person, as another human being. Woo! Yes, you are interested in them as another human being. And that's the glue that you want to have, because it forms those relationships. And these relationships with your clients can last a lifetime. And they will last a lifetime when you approach them with worthy intent and you genuinely desire to help and serve them, and you're honest and transparent, and you're authentic. So that means when something isn't quite right, you tell them, but you tell them in a way that demonstrates your kindness and compassion, right? And that giving them their dignity and being respectful. Because sometimes you need to tell them something that, they may not want to hear. I'm not quite sure how to approach this, and I'm not sure you want to hear it. But on the other hand, I know who you are as a person, and that you would want me to share what I've seen so that you can take some action on this. And then you can share that point that they need to hear. So that's a whole nother conversation about having difficult discussions. And I want to dive into that on another show, because that is a huge piece of really bringing your full authentic self and being a true partner. Because in sales, that's what we are. We are really partners to these organizations. And that means sometimes we have to tell them things that they need to hear so that they can move forward, because that's how we support them and how we are a true partner. Because true partners tell you when you need to make a change, or when something isn't quite working, and how it could be working better. And it isn't about them as a person. It's about some, piece of this that's a part of their business routine or their process, some gap that's there, some area of friction. So it is not difficult when you start to practice that. And when you come with worthy intent and you've established that relationship, it does allow you to create that rapport really quickly, because people can see that you're interested in them, that you're not being slimy and sleazy and swarmy, right? Let's say that fast 3 times, right? Instead, you are genuinely interested in them, their product or service, what they do, how they serve the world, them as an individual and as a person, what matters to them. And you're learning about that so that you can determine if there's a way that you can serve them, because that's what they need to find out too. What's working, what's not working and what they would love to have working through that conversation. And that doesn't necessarily happen the first time you meet them. Those also need to be built up over time. And so we're going to be going over that also on doing outreach and doing outreach with worthy intent. And it does come back to thinking like the client. So as you're having those initial conversations and you're thinking like a client, what do they want, need, or lack? Why does it matter to them? Does it solve a problem that they're facing? Is it going to address a concern that they have? What's in it for them so they can? And as you're talking about that and with them, you may also uncover something that's a personal thing, like, they haven't quite figured out the exact right, I don't know, let's say that I told you they were parasailing. What's the best sunscreen that they can be using because they have sensitive skin and a lot of them feel really slimy, and maybe you have a solution. And it's like, well, I happen to use this really terrific Neutrogena sunscreen. Have you ever tried that brand? I know exactly what you're saying because I feel that same, it's like this slickness that you can't get it off. This feels much more like a lotion that's absorbed in, and it never creates that slimy sheen on me. And so that's the type of conversation that you can have with them when you come with worthy intent and you find out other ways you can help and serve them, and you're building that rapport and you're building that connection. So being authentic is really about knowing who you are as well. If you don't know who you are, then you need to go back and listen to the previous episode so we can get into that, because that's an important part of presenting yourself and being comfortable in your own skin and knowing that you're really good at what you do and you know that you can help and serve them. It's just figuring out if you're the right fit for them and they're the right fit for you, and having that conversation to discover that. And as I said, those open-ended questions, listening more than you talk, that is truly the key of building that relationship. Another way to really look at building rapid rapport is to identify their personality code. Everyone has a core personality that sometimes you can see in the way they dress or the way they present themselves. It can be in the words that they use. And there's a lot of ways that you can learn to use that. It's about adapting and flexing your style to meet them where they're at. You might be able to tell I'm a nurturer. I really nurture people. That's one of my core parts of my personality. And so when you're talking to someone who's like that, there's ways that you can embrace that, that they want that sense of belonging and that sense of creating something together. That's a community. Those are really important pieces. And those are things that you can do when you tap into that. So we're going to go into that a little bit deeper on our next show. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, because my purpose is for you to get more clients. And on behalf of the Win-Win Women Network, I have carved out a limited number of time slots to invite you to hop on an Ignite Your Sales call with me to see what's working, not working, and what you would love to have working. And I'm going to see how I might further support you in effectively generating more leads, converting more sales, and fulfilling on your promise as a brand and organization. Because the fastest way to success is to assure people know that they matter. And the best way to make this happen is to build a consistent sales strategy to acquire, convert, and capitalize on every lead. You will find growing your business is easy and lucrative. Today, we looked at why your worthy intent builds strong, lasting relationships. The key is for you to implement these steps. Stop wasting time, energy, and resources. And you have the opportunity to jump in and get the support you need for true success. Say yes to you and get on a call with me. I'm truly gifted at this, and you deserve the shortcut to your success with the right support. You can go to p2q link /win-win. And you can connect with me on our website. And to stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, and never miss an episode of Get More Clients, you can sign up for our weekly Wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com. Next week on Get More Clients, we will be discussing how your prospects progress from spark to connect to rapport. And we're going to keep building out those relationships. And I will see you next week on Get More Clients.